What up guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're continuing The Future is Anti-Abortion. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this video. Let's get into it.
Our own definition of life, because that's scary.
I have a personal question for you. Are your beliefs about abortion and life and conception, does that have anything to do with your personal religious beliefs? And I also want to add on your beliefs about having sex, because you mentioned a baby as an acceptable consequence for someone who had sex. But how could a child who is, like in Texas, sex education isn't even like, you don't even have to have that here. In this entire state, do you know how many people grow up and not even knowing what their first period is? Not knowing that, oh, they think that you can have sex on your period and you won't get pregnant. Like there's people out here, like underprivileged children who have sex early on, because frankly, when you're having sex at 11 to 13 years old, that's not normal. Something's going wrong. Something's not okay. And the fact that you're saying that you're having sex, you got pregnant, that's your own damn fault. So your consequence should be, oh, but you can't drive yet. You can't vote yet. Hell, you can't even make food for yourself yet. But you have to have this child. I'm gonna make you bear the child. And I'm not gonna give you the right to choose a safe abortion. And this is for anyone, because not everyone has the same moral background and was raised the same way as you. Some people are raised a completely different way and believe completely different things about sex and babies, and your belief that life begins at conception, that is not shared by a lot of people. It's not shared by me, it's not shared by any of my friends. So I'm asking you, why should your moral belief be the end all be all and make the law and take away the right to a clean, safe abortion for women to have? Because you talk about like, oh, 5% of women that are raped become pregnant. 5% is still 2.9 million women who have become pregnant from rape in their lifetime. You know, like just because it's the minority statistics are real people. Shit happens. People become pregnant. People are raped. And the fact that you can sit here and say that the rapist baby, the seed or whatever you want to call it, the baby that's still in your belly and that it's not born yet, that you should be forced to have that, it's disgusting. And the fact that you can come over here and have an entire career based off of this, and I'm not done speaking, and then you can sit here and...
I like the way where she's just super calm, she's talking her points, and then she starts insulting the lady, and then she just goes, whoop! But one thing I like about this girl is she's just laid it out, you know? She's laid out her facts, she's laid out her point, this is what's up, you know? I really do not like people who bring percentages in arguments, because they make things weird. If you're like, yeah, it's 5% of people who get this, who get pregnant. It's like 2.9 million people, man. Like, that's individuals. That's 1, 2. I don't even have 2.9 million subscribers. You know what I mean? So think of how many people is 2.9 million. And then you just want to minimize that. To say, oh yeah, it's just 5% of the people who get, like, come on now. But I like the fact that she's bringing up, you know, these are valid conversations to have. A 13-year-old with a baby just for having sex, you know. Sex, I remember when I was a teenager, back in the days, sex was taboo. You know, it was taboo to even think about it. And then when you fast forward to now, whereby sex is very much available, you turn on your phone, you do this, kids are already understanding what they're doing, and they're doing it at a pretty young age. And they don't really understand the consequences of their action. So for this lady, I remember the previous video that we reacted to, she did say that pregnancies are a consequence of sexual activity and you should live with it. But she's been asked a valid question. What if I'm 13, man? Come on now.
In front of my friend who was a victim of rape and say that she should have that baby, it's disgusting. And you should be damn ashamed of yourself, and I don't believe that, and I'm not gonna fight until people like you do not have a place to come on here on my campus that I paid a school to go to and spew your fucking lies.
Well, I believe in the First Amendment. Do you believe in the First Amendment?
Do you?
Do you believe in the First Amendment? I've allowed you to sit here and scream at me for an hour and a half and
I'm saying I don't believe that you should have the right to
disgusting
take away my access to a clean, safe abortion as a human right. I have the right to have the autonomy over my own body. You have the right to your autonomy over your own body. We both get knocked up, have sex, both of us pregnant. You want to abort it? You don't want to abort it? Your decision. If I want to abort it, I'm going to fucking do that.
Okay.
So who are you to sit here
Yeah,
and
so
tell
I don't
me
want to own a slave,
that
but you want to own a slave. Am I supposed to just sit around and say that?
Do not sit here in front of a microphone and compare owning a slave to me, you white
That's the
fucking
argument.
bitch. You have no idea to sit here and say this shit to me.
Ma'am, that is the argument you just made.
No, it's not.
This is
No, it is
absolutely
not. That is your.
Whoa. Ooh, no. Listen, I don't normally speak on slavery because obviously it affected people of my race, but particularly because it didn't affect me. It didn't affect my ancestors, slavery, to an extent. So it's a difficult topic to talk about. But the one thing that I'll talk about it is in such an argument where you're like, oh, I want to own a slave and you don't want to own a slave. Is that a thing? I think that there's a challenge here because one, you're taking away the human right of another human. It's like you're imposing your will upon another human, which back in the day, without the rule of law worked. That's how we ended up with things such as slavery. There was no rule of law. It was more who's the most powerful one. So the fact is, I think today, because we have the rule of law, and through the rule of law, you have government that the whole society agrees upon to what the government chooses to do. So you cannot have a slave because there is the rule of law, there is the government, there is the army, there are procedures in place that stop certain things from occurring. When it does come to abortion, I do believe her argument is, who are you to set a law that says I cannot have abortion? Because once you set that law, it means now the system that has been designed to stop issues such as murder, to stop issues such as slavery, issues such as this, then has the right to stop me from achieving what I need to achieve, which is remove a baby that I do not want to carry. So who are you to make that decision? And then she's saying, on the other hand, that same rule of law that we're applying to everything should be applied to your baby, which I get from their point of view, whereby a baby is a baby from the day of conception, right? So hence, once the baby is formed, that same baby has the same basic human rights, which is, man. This debate, I don't think there's a solution to this. Until the end of time, I think this conversations will be
Incorrect interpretation. That is a logical fallacy. You think you can sit here and go ring around the rosy with me?
Are you done with your question? Because you asked me like.
You haven't answered anything. You've actually just made a statement and completely deterred my argument in a completely different way. Oh, do you think that you can own a slave? If I want to own a slave, can I own a slave? How can you sit here with a straight face and say that to me? How is you not embarrassed of yourself?
Do you want me to answer the question? How can you sit here and deny biology?
How can you sit here and deny biology? I'm going to ask you the same question.
Do you want me to answer your questions? If you will sit down, I will answer your questions.
I'm going to stand right here and I want you to tell me how you think it's okay to compare owning a slave to having an abortion. It is not even in the same ballpark.
Yes. Because
white people were not seen as people in this country.
Yes,
they were
like what you've done time and time again tonight to an unborn child. You have argued.
Unborn child, not living. Black people already existed. They were born.
Unborn children are
like
living,
literally born into slavery.
Would you like me to answer your questions? I can't answer if you keep screaming at me. Do you want me to answer your questions?
I'm waiting.
Are you going to stop
talking? Are you going to answer my question?
Yes.
Or are you going to sit here and look stupid? I'm quiet right now. I'm quiet.
This is why we have the First Amendment, so they can
Am I speaking?
So, no. When we talk about abortion, we talk about the living human being that's present inside of a mother's womb. Biology confirms this fact. This is not a religious belief that I hold. This is a scientific fact. The law of biogenesis says like begets like. We know the definition of life, and we know what's inside of a mother is living because that child is growing. You can call the child a fetus, a clump of cells, whatever, but the fact is that entity, which is a member of our human species, because two humans can't reproduce anything other besides a human, is in fact alive. The arguments that you're making to support your extremist beliefs to justify
it's not extremist. It's basic human right that you're trying to take away from me.
Doesn't have value. The argument you're trying to and failing to make, in the argument that you really
you don't get to sit here and tell me what my argument is. If you want to answer my question, then answer my question.
Ma'am, you said you'd be quiet.
Answer the question.
The argument you're failing to make, and what argument you should be making, is that you believe that the human inside of the womb has less value than a woman, and that certain people get to decide.
Yes, it does, because it's her body, her choice.
Exactly.
Her body, her body, her choice.
That is your argument. It is not that it's not a human being or that's living, because that's flat out denying biology. we know it's living, and we know it's a human being.
What else would
What
it
you're
be?
arguing is that child doesn't have the same right to life as his or her mother, because you have decided, and what you said during your comments was that if I got pregnant and chose not to have an abortion, I can do that, but you can choose to have abortion because the mother gets to decide the value of that person.
The mother, it's the mother's child. That's exactly what
you're
I'm
not letting
saying.
me answer the question. That's exactly what
Shut up.
happened. That's exactly what happened in pre-Civil War America. You could choose to assign value to Black Americans depending on what you felt like. You could say, I am against slavery because I know these people are human beings that have value and no one has the right to own another human person. But if I was a plantation owner in the South, I could say, they have some value, but they don't have full value because I deem it. It's a slippery slope. And that is not, by the way, that is not a religious belief. This is a scientific belief that this is a human being. Where we can differ on our belief is the value we assign. No, there's other people behind you.
I have actually one more question to ask, and she said I could ask a question.
That is the actual debatable question here today.
No,
is what
it's
is
not.
the value we assign to human beings in the womb?
I think that is not even the question, because I think like they're both missing each other's point. I totally disagree with her equating this situation to slavery, because slavery, man, that's just inhumane activity that human beings were doing in the previous life. You know, this thing that had been happening for a long time, whereby, you know, tribes would take over tribes, and tribes would have would enslave other people based off your own ability to protect and defend yourself. This was a thing that was happening back in the day, in the monarchy times, and you know, those cases, until, like I say, the rule of law was made. And granted, in America it was worse, especially for a certain group of people who look like me, which is how we end up with the point of slavery. And when someone says you're 3/5 of a man, that just creates some weirdness. And to equate that to a baby, because the argument that, you see how she's like, the argument we should be fighting for is how much value do you place on a human being. That's what makes the argument of slavery become a thing. So you can start to see how these pro-life people actually have a big situation or an issue with the argument, because now if you are to place the value of a fetus and saying, let's say it's 1/5 of a human, then you're trying to equate it to say, oh, when you said black people are 3/5 of a man, but now the Supreme Court has made a law to say they are also human beings, that means a fetus is also a human being, which is weird. We are now just in weirdness. You know, now she's speaking weird shit. Because the thing is, either you're saying the fetus is a human or not. Either you're saying a black person is a human or not. We're not arguing that, oh, back in the day they said they were 3/5. No. Even back in the day, they were still human beings. We just had different levels of, what's it called? I don't even remember the thing. It's called, the pigment, the thing that causes, you know, anyway, you know, just because you have a different skin tone, it doesn't mean anything, to be honest with you. Like, it doesn't, this argument, like, yeah, I'm with the abortion lady at this point. Like, her point makes
Does
no
a
sense.
human being in the womb have the same value,
Are you gonna stop
the same
going
right
round
to
and
life
around and around
as
and
other
repeating
people,
yourself?
or do they not? That is the true pro-abortion argument. That if you would have taken an hour to research, you could have come and made. But you failed to
Can I
do
ask
that
my
because you
question
denied
now?
biology.
Can I
Next
ask my
person.
question
No, you
now?
can get behind the line. Back the
You
line.
can sit here and
You can
like
get in the
try
back
and
of the line. She's
create
been
this
waiting
argument and
patiently.
idea that you have of what we believe in and push it back in my face, but it's not going to work. Your
You
little
can get in the back of the line.
logical fallacy, ring around the rosy, will not work on us. You disgust me, and if
All right, she's been
biology,
waiting to speak, ma'am. You're not allowing other women to speak.
Yeah, I think eventually she didn't answer the question that this lady posed, because at the end of the day, the key problem that they have is they're trying to convince each other on something that they're already convinced on. So if you're pro-life, you're convinced that every human being has a chance and should be made. But then the conversation is, what's a human being and when does it start from? You know, it's like, okay, from the day of conception, this human is made, they should not die. And then to validate our points, we'll come up with these facts or whatever and call it science and everything that she's been saying. And then on the other hand, it's like, yo, man, we cannot justify that as a human being I don't have the choice. It's my choice. It's my body, my choice. Should I have a child? Should I not have a child? When I'm a child, can a child have a child? Like, she didn't answer that question, you know, stuff like that. So you start to see that these debates have no solution. It's not solution oriented. It's just conversation. Is here are the facts. Here are the facts. We disagree. So these are some of the things which I think, like, if we are to live in a society that we want to live in, where we say everybody has the right to choose, then abortions should be allowed and people should choose to have them or not to have them. The problem that we have is you have other people who want to dictate the lives of other people. I don't share the same beliefs. I don't share the same things as you. I should be allowed to do what I want. But then what that does is, for other people, it's like, no, you have the right to do what you want. But that baby inside you, that baby has to make a decision to be alive or not. Which is, I don't see what the conclusion to this debate really is. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on this, and yeah, we'll definitely be seeing you in the next one.